right underway.
See that battle bus going in. I wonder where we're going to get the drops from today. If anybody's going to change it up, if anybody is going to be around for the same drops, or are we going to see more contention? Because we saw, I mean, you saw Command have like 7 different teams in the last game. So I'm excited to hop on board with these players and see where they land.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect to see too much changes up, and even if we do, I think the most interesting thing, like you said, is where there are those points of contention. Of course, you can expect plenty of that out of Command Cavern. I'm sure we'll see some team tools tilted as well, battling out there. So lots to watch, plenty to see, and I think it's only a matter of time until these players start to land and we get a good idea of who wants it with who. Of course, you can already see some familiar names all gliding out of the battle bus, the likes of Clutcher C4, Faris at the very bottom of your screens. I can see NM7 as well, gliding out there. Modisc and S&W heading towards the Bugle. And of course, as we head closer towards the Tilteds and the Caverns of the world, things are where it starts to go down. So, any early contention you can spot around the map right now? I see it's a couple teams over towards Command.
Got 2 in Tilted, it looks like, as well. But other than that, I think the map's pretty open. Oh no! As I say that, look down there at Synapse Station. FKS and Balor are going to be contested this time around.
Yeah, that looks real interesting. We're going to be heading over to see what Draftel's doing. Of course, Draftel did incredibly well yesterday. This isn't too great, but Senpai isn't going to be by his side right now. Senpai got dropped early, and so Draftel has a tough task on his hand. Heads up to the blimp, but Pasir will be closely on his tail. And with such a large HP advantage, he needs to be careful, right? Cannoned his way out, made sure to get as far away as possible. But now he just needs to make sure he doesn't get spotted, because you can see Primero has his eyes set, but with that loadout, there's not going to be much he can do from that distance. The SMG and the shotgun won't be doing much from that way out. So they will claim Tilted to themselves, which is nice. I think they'll like that. But at the very least, we'll get to see Draftel continue to play out in this game.
They got to be careful on their rotations out, though. You get a little bit too greedy. You go into a POI where you're like, there's no one here, some loot on the ground, and then all of a sudden, well, you're eliminated as we move back over to Synapse Station. And maybe a point of contention, because this is where that armored battle bus does in fact spawn, as you see right now in front of Rampage. It's really, really good at destroying builds. So essentially, the best way to loot Synapse Station is to grab that and just run through all the builds, grab all the mats, or not the mats, sorry, grab all the items and loot there, and just be on your way. Like, you get everything. It breaks ammo boxes, chests, everything.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because, you talk about loot and sort of that dynamic, how that works out. Typically in a regular competitive game, you'd expect to see players looting up as fast as they can, trying to get positioned to try and get some tags for Storm Surge, make sure they get their damage up as much as possible. But Storm Surge wasn't something that we saw play a big part in these games yesterday, and I doubt we will see that play a big part today either. Maybe I'll have to eat my words later on, but in that case, right, it is all just about prioritizing getting that best loadout possible and trying to find these optimal positions, right? We know how difficult it can be. Sometimes you like to see teams play central zones, but is that really going to be optimal, right? Trying to play dead center of the zone where everybody is just surrounding you, potentially taking shots at you, and you ain't got much cover, that's not going to be ideal, right? So these fights become even more interesting. You can see, though, forget looting, Primero and Passive, they just want to get way in, and they will get in over towards Coney. Primero down to just 1 drop of HP, will take Gentle down, and so these guys are on the move. They're feeling aggressive. They have a bloodlust right now, and so they're going to try to take down FHD in this 2v1.
And I think he was essentially on half of an HP based on the Chug Splashes bringing him up to 40, right? That was almost a trade elimination happening there as you see the overshield start to recharge up there. Jetpack going to be used by Jody, and they will get the elimination. They trade out Primero. They say, you know what, I'm going to let you go down, but I got this Elim. And they're chilling. They're up. They're ready to go.
Nice work. nice work. They pick up a pair of eliminations, some nice points. They've got 3 in the game so far. And we talked about how some teams will just look to get uber aggressive. And these guys seem to be the ones on that train right now. So I'm liking what I'm seeing.
And I think you kind of have to. If you're behind, you just keep going and keep being aggressive to try to get those Zealand points. Because like you said, Levin, they're worth 3 points each. That's a good amount of placement, especially if you're not going to get those placement points already. As we look over Zero and Smasher, they're in an awkward spot. They've got a team holding them from zone. But as we know, Levin, first zone is nothing to worry about. You can survive in first zone Fortnite for a very, very long time.
Yeah, you're good, right? And of course, I think there's a lot of space on the map for a lot of these teams, right? Which is why we haven't seen as much contestation. But of course, that won't stop people from getting aggressive and looking to get their way on into people. Some loot being found here for Zero. That's nicely done. Looks like it was a llama maybe or something.
I think it was a llama. There's chug splashes, shield kegs, like it was the whole 9 yards there. And we saw yesterday Cowcatcher's really going to be what players are going to use. And I like that they went back, grabbed that extra one, put one on top of the vehicle, because it's just so great to have on the vehicle. It just plows through everything.
Yeah, and of course, they got a whiplash vehicle there as well, which is really nice. A bit of an upgrade on the regular sedan that they had, so that can allow them to sort of be a bit more ambitious in their attempts to get to certain positions. Rapid, someone who we saw a lot of yesterday, and someone who we saw can hit shots like crazy. You don't want to give this guy even an inch, right? Because he will take a whole mile. So you always got to be protected around them. I like the way you mentioned the cow catchers, right? They are really important. Basically, the only form of cover these players can use. And so, you know, everybody will be trying to have one, right? As we scroll past different teams, like everybody will be prioritizing having one, as well as having a vehicle, a repair tool, and a gas canister if possible as well, right? You want to have all the protection you possibly can.
And if your vehicle doesn't have chonkers on it, it's also, you gotta get some chonkers. Because this season was actually really different, and not a lot of players have actually talked about it. And is that when you are off-roading a vehicle that does not have chonkers, it does not go as fast this season. It definitely has been impacted. It slows down significantly. So if you have chonkers, you essentially ignore that terrain. But if you don't, you're gonna go slower. It's gonna be easier to hit shots on you. So it's just better for you to have chonkers on your vehicle. Because look at Adapter versus Mansoor here. It's a great example. You can see Mansoor, if they kept going, would just be that much better at driving. And they are. So we get to take a look at it now. Because again, they're off-road tires versus regular tires.
Yeah, of course, right? Having those chonkers tires gives you that extra speed and mobility. Allows you to traverse through the more rocky terrain just that bit easier as well, which is always an added bonus. But you're seeing now a lot of players sort of grouping up. Drafter was able to get Senpai up, and they've got a decent looking loadout as well, so that will be nice. Tilted Towers is a POI that has a lot of IO vehicles, right? So they probably will be able to snatch one of these vehicles for themselves. Very, very strong POI, somewhere that a lot of the players, whether it be in the actual competitive competitions or whether it be the no-build playlist, a POI that plenty of players will look to land at for all its added benefits.
I mean, it's tilted. Like, who doesn't love right there? I mean, let's be real. I mean, if you had to think of one quintessential POI from Fortnite history, I mean, everyone's gonna say tilted.
Well, maybe I want to be different and say Anarchy Acres. How about that?
Okay, Anarchy Acres was my spot, Levin. Now, now you're talking. That was the go-to. It was much better than Fatal Fields, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Imagine landing Fatal Fields over Anarchy Acres. Could never be me. Could never be me.
I mean, until you had to when they took out Anarchy.
Well,
But
even then, I just said no. I'm too loyal to Anarchy, you know.
Yeah, you were a Lazy Links kind of guy.
Definitely, most definitely, king of Lazy Links.
I mean, we may have to call him out and see. Right?
Or maybe I'm sure Finex as well will have something to say about that.
Finex would definitely have something to say. Oh man, but these has been some great games. You see, like you said, everyone using their repair torch, they're getting shot by players, and instantly the passenger is just repairing the vehicle. They're like, nope, not blowing up.
It's your priority to just keep the vehicle in the game. Of course, what's funny now for a lot of people watching, if you don't know, these vehicles weren't actually in the regular competitive playlist anymore, unless it's an IO vehicle, which are the black ones that you may see popping about here and there. And so this is going to be one of the last times these players will get to actually use vehicles in a competitive competition, right? So I'm sure they will be savoring this weekend, savoring the moment, because for in a couple of weeks' time, they won't really be able to use them. Which is interesting, of course. I think the big thing with how they've been able to affect these games is more prominent in no build, right? But just being able to get you by in these games, right? That added level of protection and movement is so key. And that's why everybody in these lobbies wants to have one. And if you don't have one, you might want to try to steal one away from someone if you can.
Yeah, it is interesting to see the move away from having them in competitive. I think it'll make a lot more healthy of a game state, and that as well, it'll also force players to rotate earlier, right? Like you'll have to find a blimp, you'll have to find a rift, you'll have to go over to command where you can use that wind tunnel to rotator, use one of the siege cannons around the map that there's some by command, there's some on the ground, and you just have to get used to rotating earlier. So I will be intrigued to see in a couple weeks how players adapt to that. But I mean, that right here, Levin, this is one of these weapons that is not in competitive, has not been in competitive for a while, but it is in the no build mode, the LMG.
Yeah, I love the LMG, man. Throwback. I love the LMG. Random story that nobody cares about. I actually won my first ever scrim with the LMG in hand. So
wow.
Yeah, it will always hold a dear spot to my heart, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all remember that the LMG play back in the day. I think we all know which one I'm talking about. If you don't, then, well, do some research. Hop on the old internet, do some research, and
I think I need to do some research. I ain't got a clue what you're talking about, man.
You don't know the quintessential LMG play, Friday Fortnite.
No idea, man.
Man, all right, you gotta take a look. I'll send you a link. I'll hook you up. But look at Modisk and S&W. They said, you know what? We're not gonna go in the tank at the same time.
Convoy.
And I like it, right? Because we were talking yesterday how unprotected you are in that gunner seat. And Falcon was like, you know what? S&W was like, you know what? I'm gonna be protected in my truck. I'll be your escort to the gas station.
Who's escorting who, right? I'm guessing
Fair.
S&W is escorting Modisk, but I would probably want the tank as the protection, you know, in the front, leading the way, I guess. But I see it regardless. It's interesting here, right? They're just destroying this whole area. I'm guessing to just grief anybody that wants to make use of that little sort of truck stop. So nice work. Soriano, one of your personal favorites, right?
Good to see him up, and a really great spot, actually. They're using the natural cover as well as the cow catchers and the truck to block off any sort of angles on them, and I love it.
Yeah, this is a much better sort of use and understanding of the angles. Maybe don't want to get too overzealous, right? Standing up like this could be exposed from a lot of angles, but for the most part, I'm liking this positioning so far.
Yeah, it's definitely a step up from what we saw yesterday. They've got a lot of AR ammo as well. What I am concerned about is if they get into any sort of close range engagement, they have only the burst rifles. But, I mean, it's no build. You're not really going to get into these engagements where you are going to use that drum shotgun, where you are going to use that combat SMG. as you can see, Soriano just putting the shots down. And oh, the Anvil rocket launcher Elim coming through there for Soriano and Sam.
That's real nice. That rocket launcher is a huge part of these games. Being able to find the right moments and opportunities to use them is so key. You can see Rapid on the right of your screen. Just playing hide and seek. Doesn't have his teammate, and so things become infinitely more difficult in that sense. Trying to stay alive as a solo in these games could be almost impossible. And is he going to be spotted? I don't know if Poor and Van saw him. No, they did. I think they did. I think they did see him, and they're going to cycle right back round. Oh dear, he's literally just running around like a flop out of water, and Rapid will go down.
And if it was any other vehicle, right, not obviously not the Whiplash, he could have hopped in, tried to make a play, and oh no, are we gonna see the trend of the shockwaves continue today? Because it seemed like every single time yesterday we saw a shockwave, the person was eliminated. Every single time. So I'll be interested to see if that changes it. And I like this. They threw down the shield keg, hopped in the car, the truck, and said, we're protected. We're not getting out. We're just going to heal up real quick.
We still have no sound, by the way.
Ooh, and look at those shots from Van and Poor, though. They've figured out the vehicle meta. They took some notes.
And someone found out
they learned a little bit from
for us,
NA and EU, and they've adapted. You can tell.
Game sound. Yeah, we're seeing some changes. A lot more of these vehicles being sort of savored and valued in these moments. I was about to say, did Fortnite had a first-person update? What was that?
Wasn't sure, but look, they decided, you know what, we're gonna go all the way up this hill, and it doesn't matter if you're hiding behind these cow catchers. We want the high ground, but Rocky Reels and NM7X are doing very well to defend it.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of NM7, so hopefully we can see them have a bit of a better day. They were able to get deep in some of their games, but not quite the finishes they would have wanted. But maybe that's not going to happen today, because Rocky Rules will go down. NM7 left all alone. And not in the most comfortable positions. Using the chug splashes here. Oh dear. But Trick Shots has gone down now. NM7 will follow as well. And QND will follow Trick Shots back to the lobby. Just like that, all right? Players can fall so quickly in a matter of a flash. Everyone's down.
That was such an unfortunate trade there for them. They're like, yeah, we got it. Okay, I guess we're eliminated now. As you can see, Van and Port just getting absolutely obliterated there by Ken and their mythic burst AR, as well as that Anvil rocket launcher. And Vagnar was going and being aggressive, and Ken did not grab the chug splashes. It has to go back into zone to grab them if they want, but they don't have the HP. And Sonic and Lore are deciding we're gonna stay on the blimp in zone, and one of them is gonna go down because of it.
This is not good for them whatsoever. Senpai picks up an elimination. Lore just camping out in the zone. Seeing some Kree strats right now. Just trying to out-heal everything. And I might end up being the player at some point from some of these players, just to see if they can out-heal in the zone, because these zones don't close, right? And so if you can sort of just stay alive as long, wait for everyone to fire out, maybe there's a chance for you. Draftel and Senpai, we saw how well they were doing yesterday, and they already are back to seemingly their winning ways, getting deep into these games. Draftel actually just goes down as I say that, so a bit of the caster's curse coming out. Senpai will get the refrag, the trade comes through, but he has barely any cover. He needs to try find something, and quickly. He knows Law's behind this rock. He needs to get behind him, needs to hit some key shots. The minis will come through, and he's very fortunate right now that the tank isn't focusing on him, so this might be a free second place for him. And now in a 1v1 versus a tank, Heckle isn't going to make this easy for him whatsoever, Clay. Does he stand a chance here?
No, he's gonna try to hide behind this, but it'll go down. Oh no, I was gonna say before he gets it off, it's gonna go aggressive maybe. able to do it as he forces Peckle to get out. The SMG spray is there, so close. 28 HP, almost going over. It was almost the first place there.
It was so close after what was such an unfortunate start for Draftel and Senpai, where Senpai goes down early. Draftel's left to try reboot his friend. You thought, oh, this game is all in tatters, but they did an amazing comeback and they were able to get second place, but second place just wasn't quite enough. It's unfortunate, but a really great start from a team